Thank you for tuning in to this webinar. My name is Erin Preston, and I am a Deputy General Counsel at the St. Johns River Water Management District. As part of the district's 50th anniversary commemoration, I present to you a brief history about how the St. Johns River Water Management District was established. The district, along with Florida's other water management districts, was created when the legislature enacted the Florida Water Resources Act in 1972. This presentation provides an overview of the history of water management in Florida through its laws from early statehood through today. There are 5 water management districts in Florida. The St. Johns River Water Management District is right in the middle in terms of the population we serve. You can see it in this map in green. The district serves all or part of 18 counties. You'll notice that the boundaries did not strictly follow county lines. District boundaries are based primarily on surface water hydrology. Florida's history as it relates to water management has been shaped by the hydrology of Florida and the cycle of flood and drought that's marked most of our state's history. For hundreds of years, even before it was a state, people have appreciated Florida's natural beauty and water resources. Florida became a state in 1845. The federal government provided millions of acres in land grants for internal improvements or for lands that were deemed unfit for cultivation. Water quality and quantity concerns actually date back at least to the 1800s. Soon after Florida became a state, we saw the first water pollution law. It imposed penalties for defiling or corrupting springs or water supplies. In the 1880s, land grants helped prepare the land for agriculture. A private landowner named Hamilton Diston received 4 million acres, and his work resulted in several canals in the Kissimmee chain of lakes and between the Caloosahatchee River and Lake Okeechobee. As drainage of swampland began, the Delta Canal Company built canals from several more lakes in central Florida into the Ocklawaha River. At the turn of the 20th century, the legislature continued to pass laws related to drainage. One allowed the use of public funds to build ditches, dams, and canals if a private landowner filed a petition. One created a statewide board of drainage commissioners, and eventually local drainage districts could be created if a landowner filed a petition. Some of these early drainage districts still exist today. Some of them are called water control districts, and you see many of them throughout the southern part of Florida. Then there was a hurricane. On September 16, 1928, a hurricane killed more than 1,800 people and caused devastating flooding south of Lake Okeechobee. Part of the Florida legislature's response included creation of the Okeechobee Flood Control District. Then in the 1930s and 1940s, the legislature passed several laws related to conservation. The legislature created the Florida State Board of Conservation and authorized the formation of soil and water conservation districts. The governor at the time also appointed a citizens committee to study fresh water. During the 1940s again, Florida had 2 major hurricanes. The existing network of canals and levees failed to protect agricultural areas, and it actually directed floodwaters to the more populated coastal communities. More than 5 million acres flooded. The federal government created a project, and the Florida legislature became the local sponsor. The local sponsor was the entity that eventually became the South Florida Water Management District. In 1960, Hurricane Donna hit Tampa Bay and South Florida. As it did before, the federal government created a flood control project, and the Florida legislature created the Southwest Florida Water Management District as the local sponsor. Then in 1968, Floridians thought natural resources were important enough to make conservation a state policy. So it was included in the Florida Constitution as a part of a regular cycle of amendments. In the 1970s, the state experienced severe drought. The governor convened a conference on water management and directed a group of experts on natural resources to come up with some legislative proposals. One of those proposals was the Florida Water Resources Act of 1972. It eventually became law. This legislation created the water management districts as we know them today and gave the districts their power to carry out their work. The initial responsibilities included regulation of surface water system construction and operation, water wells, and consumptive uses of water. Water management districts were also responsible for research and data collection and the purchase and management of land to protect natural systems. In the early 1970s, some water management districts had ad valorem taxing authority, but others were funded through legislative appropriation. Legislative appropriation meant that all funding for district operations came from the state legislature. Ad valorem taxing authority is based on the value of the land within each district, so funding for district operations comes from within the district's boundaries. In 1976, Floridians amended the state constitution to give all of the water management districts the ad valorem taxing authority. So today, each water management district is funded through property taxes, but it's also common for certain projects or priorities to receive funding through legislative appropriations. Since then, the Florida legislature has continued to add to water management districts' authority and scope of work. In the 1980s, through Save Our Rivers, the legislature provided for acquisition and management of ecologically sensitive lands. Tens of thousands of acres of lands were purchased with this funding. The Water Quality Assurance Act established a statewide surface and groundwater monitoring network. The Lake Apopka Restoration Act provided for restoration of Lake Apopka and the Harris Chain of Lakes. Finally, the Surface Water Improvement Program provided for preservation and restoration of surface water quality. It recognized Lake Apopka, the Lower St. Johns and Upper Ocklawaha River basins, and the Indian River Lagoon as areas in need of protection. By 1990, Florida's population had reached 12.9 million. The Commission on the Future of Florida's Environment concluded that the most far-reaching means of protecting the environment in Florida included a combination of acquisition, restoration, and regulation. The legislature then appropriated billions of dollars to acquire environmentally sensitive lands and land for water resource development and restoration through the Preservation 2000 and Florida Forever programs. The St. Johns River Water Management District now owns and manages hundreds of thousands of acres of environmentally sensitive lands as a result of the funding from those programs. These lands provide protection of water resources and natural systems, habitat for wetland-dependent species, and many are open to the public for resource-based recreation. You can find more details about district lands on the district website. The legislature also made changes to Chapter 373 that made water management district administration and budgeting more consistent among the 5 districts. Since 2000, the legislature has continued to refine the scope of the water management district's work. During this time, the legislature has amended Chapter 373 to improve permitting process efficiency, declared the importance of regional water supply planning to promote availability of sufficient water for existing, future reasonable beneficial uses and natural systems, and enacted the Central Florida Water Initiative and the Florida Springs and Aquifer Protection Act. The Central Florida Water Initiative is a collaborative process involving the Department of Environmental Protection, the St. Johns River, South Florida, and Southwest Florida Water Management Districts, the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, regional public water supply utilities, and various other stakeholders. The initiative provided for a unified process to address the current and long-term water supply needs of Central Florida without causing harm to the water resources and associated natural systems. The Florida Springs and Aquifer Protection Act requires coordinated efforts to restore and maintain the water quantity and quality of outstanding Florida springs. As I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, the St. Johns River Water Management District was created when the legislature enacted the Florida Water Resources Act. The district work continues as provided by the statutes today and is best summarized in our core missions: water supply on a regional basis, flood protection, water quality, and natural systems. I've hit the highlights of the district's history today, but if you'd like to learn more, The district's website has a comprehensive history. To find it, go to SJRWMD.com, click About Us, and then you click District History. Thank you so much for tuning in.